Brett Carlson/Getty Images. As the season's end gets closer, every NFL front office is preparing for free agency and the NFL draft with meetings and crunch time scouting sessions. What comes from these meetings isn't just a list of the best players available this off-season, but also the self-scouting that is so important to team building. On every general manager's mind is how to fill the team's biggest need. Some teams need to replace aging players, like Eli Manning, 36, and Philip Rivers, 36. Others must replace players who haven't lived up to expectations, like Ereck Flowers and Kevin White. Below is each team's biggest need heading into the off-season. Some of these needs may be filled when teams re-sign their own players, but until that's done, each spot is still considered a need. Let's get into it. Kirk Irwin/Getty Images. This should surprise no one. The Cleveland Browns have been looking for a franchise quarterback since Bernie Kosar. For many of you reading this, the Browns have never had a franchise quarterback in your lifetime. The last regime, led by Sassy Brown, was fired because of its inability to properly evaluate the position and traded out of Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson. The number one priority this offseason will, once again, be quarterback. The new Browns, led by John Dorsey, might check this box by paying a starter in free agency, Tyrod Taylor, Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins, or using the No. 1 pick in the 2018 NFL Draft on a passer. Or maybe both. However they do it, they must find a quarterback. Al Bello/Getty Images. The New York Giants drafted Ereck Flowers out of Miami with the No. 9 pick of the 2015 draft with the idea he'd be the left tackle for the next decade and keep Eli Manning clean in the pocket. That pick is now looked at as one of the reasons general manager Jerry Reese was fired. Flowers has improved this season, but he's still not an above-average pro starter, nor should he be looked at as the long-term answer at left tackle. For those thinking you can just slide him to right tackle, I don't see Flowers' technique helping him out on that side either. The Giants will likely pass on left tackle in round 1 this year based on the talent available and their pick being so early in the round. But this has to be the focus of the next general manager through free agency and the draft. Al Pereira/Getty Images. No matter who is playing quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts next season, general manager Chris Ballard has to build a better offensive line. In his second off-season as GM, Ballard has a big job on his hands. Center Ryan Kelly is a good player and should be a building block for Ballard, but the rest of the offensive line is either not good or unproven. Joe Haeg and Jack Newhart were well regarded coming out of college, but neither fill the all-important position of left tackle. That's where Ballard must identify an upgrade. With what's projected to be a top 5 pick in round 1, the Colts could draft to fill the need or spend in free agency. There are many needs on this roster, and Ballard isn't the type of GM to reach for need. That means it wouldn't be a surprise to see the Colts go edge rusher in round 1 and tackle in round 2. Tim Warner/Getty Images. Imagine the smile on the faces of San Francisco 49ers fans when that didn't say quarterback. John Lynch got a steal when he traded a second-rounder for Jimmy Garoppolo. With No. 10 looking great in Kyle Shanahan's offense, there is excitement in San Francisco. Now Lynch has to finish the job of building a winning roster. The 49ers have needs at running back, wide receiver, linebacker and in the secondary, but the biggest need by far is the offensive line. Joe Staley is a keeper, and there is still hope for 2016 first-rounder Joshua Garnett, but this is a unit that's scary bad at times. Trent Brown, at right tackle, can be great but is currently hurt. Both guard spots and the starting center job should be up for grabs. San Francisco's draft position will have a major impact on when Lynch can fill the needs at guard. The Niners should also have more than $100 million in cap space to use if they decide to buy a line. Otto Grayle Jr./Getty Images. With no picks in the first 2 rounds, the Houston Texans will have to be creative in filling needs this offseason. The biggest, most obvious need on the roster is the offensive line. Nick Martin and Jeff Allen are keepers, but both tackle spots could use a major upgrade unless rookie Julian Davenport can make a big jump this offseason. The good news is the Texans have money to spend with an estimated $60 million available under the 2018 salary cap. As is usually the case when you have money to burn, there might not be anything worth worth buying a tackle in this upcoming class, unless there are surprise cuts that put starters on the street. The Texans will be better off using the draft to find starters and shoring up the defense in free agency. Joe Robbins/Getty Images. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in a weird spot with a head coach who is likely to be fired and a general manager who could also be on the way out. Quarterback Jameis Winston has nice targets at wide receiver and tight end but hasn't yet taken the next step in his own game. Defensively, there is speed across the board, but leaders Gerald McCoy and Lavonte David are aging, and the whole unit needs work. The first need on the list has to be defensive end. Noah Spence has promise, but the Bucs need a premier pass rusher to take the group over the top. That could, and should, come in round 1 of the draft if Bradley Chubb is on the board. Free agency is an option, but GM Jason Licht doesn't have a ton of cap space to work with. Stacey Revere/Getty Images. It was tempting to put head coach, but I know that's not what you guys are here for. And John Fox likely won't have a job in Chicago much longer, so what are the needs of the Chicago Bears? First is wide receiver. Even if Cameron Meredith is back to his former self next year, even if Kevin White is finally healthy, the Bears finally have a franchise quarterback to build around in Mitchell Trubisky, and the front office needs to give him weapons because of where the Bears are projected to pick in the first round. Right now, it's pick no. 7 overall. It would be a surprise if they drafted a receiver. Instead, going after a defender or lineman in the first and looking for a few receivers in subsequent rounds should be the play. John Grishop/Getty Images. An overall rebuild is coming in Cincinnati, but it should start on the offensive line. After losing Andrew Whitworth and Kevin Zeitler in free agency, the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line is among the worst in the NFL. Youngsters Cedric Ogbuehi and Jake Fisher might still work out after being selected in the first and second rounds, respectively, of the 2015 draft. But right now they're struggling. That could open the door for a tackle in round 1 such as Connor Williams. A need at guard could also make Notre Dame's Quentin Nelson a possibility. The Bengals do have some money but have to be smart with the salary cap due to previous paydays for AJ Green, Geno Atkins and possibly Andy Dalton. It's unlikely they'll be buying a left tackle. The draft is the best way to fix this problem. Robert Reiners/Getty Images. The Denver Broncos have a number of quarterbacks on the roster with starting experience, but that doesn't mean they have a starting quarterback. Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler and Trevor Siemian have all started games this year, and still general manager John Elway has to be looking to upgrade the position. The Broncos are projected to have a top 10 pick, which should give Elway a shot at Josh Allen or Baker Mayfield. There were also plenty of rumors that Eli Manning would follow in his older brother's footsteps and go to Denver if he were released by the Giants. The free agent route makes more sense if Elway doesn't want to draft another first rounder this year after